Do you know that Prince William's alleged mistress is married to a man 23 years older than her? Royalty Royal Marriage presents Rose Hanbury. A Royal Marriage is a multi-part series, so make sure to check out the part you want. Now let's get into the royalty. But who is the lucky man she married? Mr. Rock Savage. David Rock Savage. Damn low-key badass name. The 7th Marquis of Cholmondeley was born in 1960 to Hugh Cholmondeley and Lavinia Leslie, who were aristocrats. He's their only son, so homeboy deadass inherited everything despite being the youngest of 4. Patriarchy is giving brain rot. David was educated, handsome, and very well liked, which is why people thought it was so odd that he didn't have serious girlfriends, his lack of eagerness for marriage. There had also been rumors he's gay, and his best friend of more than 30 years is low-key his lover. David was the only male heir so deadass it was vital that he marries and has kids to pass on their titles, but he was a dedicated bachelor, so it seemed so unlikely. And who was Rose Hanbury? Sarah Rose Hanbury was born in 1984 to Timothy Hanbury and her aristocratic mum, Emma Longman. Rose is the middle child with older sister Marina and younger brother David Mark James. Homegirl grew up wealthy and was always the life of the party. She was that type of bad bitch. She has an extremely close relationship with her sister Marina, who is always by her side. The sisters were known to be social climbers in search of a wealthy aristocratic husband. God forbid a woman is trying to get that bag. Rose would be mingling with the elites like former British Prime Minister Tony Blair. Sister would meet many men of all walks of life, but soon she would meet her sugar daddy, David Cholmondeley. Okay, my stars, now we will get back to their relationship, but first we'll talk about Hanbury's short modeling career. In her early 20s, Rose Hanbury took a step into the fashion and modeling world. At age 23, she signed with the London modeling agency Storm Management. Although her time modeling was relatively short and not heavily publicized, she could still live a private life without the intense scrutiny she endures today. The royal situationship. So Rose and David, deadass, aren't even part of the same generation. David being born in 1960 makes him part of the baby boomer generation, while Rose being born in 1984 makes her part of the millennial generation. Rose would meet many men of all walks of life, and in 2003 she would meet David Cholmondeley. For the next 6 years, they would date casually, but hardly ever seen with each other. But things quickly changed when Rose was knocked up by her older situationship. That would lead to marriage and the baby carriage. So now homegirl was unmarried and knocked up by her situationship of 6 years. Rose, like David, come from aristocratic families, so they are aware how their situation is frowned upon. Even though Hanbury is carrying their child, David is still adamant about marriage to Rose, but her mother wasn't having any of that bullshit. Emma Hanbury immediately went to the press to not only announce the pregnancy, but to make sure it's known that David Cholmondeley is the dad. If he wouldn't marry Rose, he would be publicly perceived as a deadbeat father, so David felt like he had no choice but to marry her. These trash royal men really act like they have to marry these women on gunpoint. 2 days after her mom's announcement, David Cholmondeley and Rose Hanbury would marry at Chelsea Town Hall. They did not have a huge lavish wedding since it was an unplanned pregnancy and marriage, so there's no photos of the couple on their wedding day. That same year, they would welcome twin boys, which created a small issue in inheriting the Cholmondeley titles and estate. Since both were born at the same time via C-section, Rose and David decided that the baby that weighs the most will be the heir. Alexander is the heir, while Oliver is the spare. The couple have been very private, so not much is known about them. But the Cholmondeleys would welcome their daughter Iris Marina in 2016, finally completing their little family. The royal neighbors of Norfolk. The Cholmondeleys and Hanburys come from the British aristocracy and live in Houghton Hall close by Prince Baltimore and Princess Kate. As neighbors, both couples grew closer despite them being well known to the royal family. It was even reported that both Rose and David attended Will and Kate's 2011 wedding, but honestly, I looked everywhere for photos of that, which I could not find. But it was reported that they did attend. Through the years, both couples grew really close, but many in their circle began to wonder if Rose and no hairline Willie may have something. And just because the royal family keeps David Cholmondeley around doesn't mean the affair rumors are false. The royal family have a long history of pushing mistresses to interact with the family, like when Charles pushed Diana to Camilla. Then his sister Princess Anne with her bodyguard, Charles with Kanga, Philip Penny with Penny Natchbull, Fergie with John Bryan. No cap that these messy royals will keep you around with perks for your silence and loyalty. And David and Rose's marriage is more like an arrangement than love, so it's not surprising that both live double lives. But this is allegedly a lavender marriage. David is constantly dipping out of state, so homegirl has some free time in their castle without him. This has made Hanbury feel lonely, so it's messed up that homegirl had an affair with her bestie's husband. Like, damn, Kate, you were so worried about Meghan, yet you needed to worry about your bestie stealing your Baltimore away from you like his daddy did. Prince William's English Rose. Okay, my stars, let's see some details about their alleged affair. In spring 2019, it's reported that Rose and Middleton had a falling out due to William's infidelity. But it didn't occur in 2019, but instead happened around 2018 when Kate was pregnant with her third child, Louis. One specific rumor suggested no hairline Willie, and Rose had 1 or 2 private dinners while Kate was away. It's claimed Kate immediately confronted William, who reportedly laughed it off and said there was nothing to it. William's infidelity would be covered up once again, but Kate's public cold distance. Demeanor towards no hairline Willie didn't help his case. And the Wales aren't normally affectionate, but here Kate's rejection towards him is palpable. It's clear something happened between them, not just a simply misunderstanding. Ever since the affair scandal broke, Kate and Rose have never been seen or photographed together despite being in the same events. The media paints that there's no bad blood between the women, however. If that were true, then why avoid each other if the affair is a lie? The scandal exploded and the palace had to do PR damage control. Conveniently, the palace made the original source claim he lied for attention and was so drunk that it was all made up. All to discredit the rumors, however, this isn't the first time the firm used that excuse. For decades, the British media and the firm used their intimidation tactics to cover up the scandals and abuses by rewriting history in their favor. But I guess you're wondering how Hanbury's husband feels about this affair? Well, many say he doesn't really give a fuck because it's a lavender marriage, but he's still very supportive of his wife's reputation. For the past recent years, Rose has sued and removed all evidence about the affair. And since the firm and British press work together, they have helped her immensely with their big influence. For the last couple of years, William has publicly become very distant and cold towards his wife Kate, even as she battled cancer. It's now obvious that he's tired of her, but the Middleton women worked too. Damn hard to become queen like sis ain't stopping right before the finish line. She's gonna get that crown. Divorce, babe. Divorce. William has been distant from Kate for a while now, but Rose's husband David has continued to support her while she processes the intense Hanbury's reputation, as she has successfully suppressed most of her affair and scandals. The Cholmondeleys have always been so private, so their current events, not much is known about them. In the summer of 2026, they'll be celebrating 17 years together. Many think she will leave David for Prince William, but I don't see that happening. Rose and David have a comfortable agreement with each other, and divorcing will ruin that. She would also be officially cemented as the next Camilla. It would forever ruin the image of the royal marriage of the Cholmondeleys in Wales, similarly like the Parker Bowles. And that's it for today's episode of Royal Marriage Rose Hanbury Edition. We will have more royal couples, scandals, and style coming soon.